going to take over. What happens when all these AIA takes a self-driving program, all that other shit? But you're driving around, guess what? The onboard. So, then getting back to Nifty's question, it was $30, and then there was a team of researchers that one of the, I think it was Cal Berkeley, it was one of California schools, I think it was Cal Berkeley, who replicated it for $30. Again, I didn't read into the paper, I didn't read the... Are they starting from scratch? They're not starting from scratch. You know, they pre-train their models, and all of this has to do with your ultimate scaling. You have your pre-training scaling laws, you have your training scaling laws, you have your inference scaling laws, you have compute, you have all this other stuff that has to deal with different scaling. And yes, over time, it's going to require less and less. This stuff gets more efficient over time. That's just how it works. Ben asks, what online services are you referring to? Any online service. Think of something you do online. Social media, entertainment, information, news, communications, finance, bill paying. Anything you use the service for, anything you pay or utilize, any application you utilize. Check the apps on your phone. Each of those apps provides at least one, if not a variety of services. Spotify, you listen to music. You know, Netflix, you watch videos. YouTube, you watch videos. You know, Instagram, you upload images. You look at images. TikTok, you look at short videos. CNBC, you watch news about the stock market and the business world. CNN, you watch news about, you know, just politics and the news. It doesn't deal with fiat, obviously. But once the payment system, the point of sale system is in place, once this payment app, essentially, Leo Merchant idea is in place, then you could partner with some of these other platforms that reach fiat in different ways. And maybe that's exactly what Ahmed is saying, where, okay, Amazon's not exactly fiat, but now you're tying it into different gift cards, and you're tying it into different, maybe Visa payment cards, or you're tying it into different things of that nature. And so again, the tentacles suddenly start to spread further and further out. And it's a two-way system, so you have an A coming in where capital can come in from the outside for different services. It's still Leo. But how people get paid, the currency they get paid in, that's just so, and then you have the ability, but you're building the underlying infrastructure for essentially without the fiat. And then somebody else, you know, could build, instead of Leo merchants, they could build ABC merchants, or they could build ABC payment, or they could build whatever on top of it and use the Leo infrastructure, which means going through Leo Dex. Ahmed posted something about airdrops and EMMs and stuff like that, and a link to an article. So that's good. Okay, check that out if you want. Terra Draws, really interesting. AI will take part of a lot of our lives more and more. Yes. Yes, Terra Draws. AI is going to take over more and more of our activities. It's going to take over more and more of the things we do. AI is automation. So the idea of self-driving cars, the idea of your refrigerator, putting together your grocery list, you know, Roomba, the little robotic vacuum, robotic lawnmower, stores, humanoid robots working in factories. Yeah. And so what Llama will do, what Google will do, what could be changed by Leo. Could be changed by anybody who's using it. And what the weighting does is this is how you get some of the biases. Because they will decrease the weighting on something and increase the weighting on something else. So it emphasizes one thing while de-emphasizing another. Now, if you just go neutral, then you just have a model that will spit out information about most anything. Now, obviously, there are certain things that you're going to have to wait out, but the point being is you go to some models, it won't even tell you about guns, just as an example. They want to push out guns. Now, you can't even find out about the history of guns. You can't even find out about the history of Smith & Wesson Gun Company. Any of that, anytime it sees any of that stuff, it's like out. But somebody takes that model and they just change all the weighting around. They add their own data. They do certain things. And now all of a sudden they have to tell them that is pornographic in nature. Why? Because it allows everything and anything to flow through. So the idea of these models is to put in the data, and even if any of these type of countries, if you're in the Philippines, put as much data into threads as you can about your country, about your culture, about the history, about the leaders in the country, about your celebrities, about anything to do with it. Hotels, restaurants, you name it, movies. Because it will get picked up and it will be fed into Leo AI. Does it mean it's going to be in Llama? Maybe, maybe not. You know, the general stuff like leaders of countries, yeah, that's going to be picked up. But if you mention some particular cafe, or you mention some particular shop, or you mention some particular local celebrity, that may not appear anywhere. And, you know, it gets picked up in the person's name, but what type of stuff is out there? And then you have the inherent bias of most things being English. So, what language is native to your country? Are the Brazilians putting a stuff on Leo in Portuguese? Portuguese is not well representative on the whole of the internet. English is number one, Spanish is number two, and I would say Chinese is number three and moving up the chart because China's getting, you know, so advanced. Calamaro got us on TikTok. Future. So when I look at Hive, and I'm not averse to Hive, but when I look at what's taking place with Hive, who's putting the pillars in the ground that can lapsing due to this advancement technology? Looking at the infrastructure and the pillars. I mean, AI and Leo Dex are two things. Again, come to Leo and get paid out on your Visa card or on the gift card. Get paid out on an Amazon gift card. You know, is it going to make or break Leo? No. But the more of these things that stack up over time, and by the way, you start to tie this into Leo Merchant and into a point of sale type system, that gets huge. And I'm old enough to remember when point of sale systems, you were actually selling physical hardware. Now you're dealing with the point of sale system because everybody has a damn phone. It's all digital. And with that, another Lions Den is in the books, and we will be back next Friday on Spaces and maybe even on TikTok.